So let's begin our prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. So welcome everybody for the session on Bhagavad Gita as it is. We have been discussing from chapter 4 overview. So let's take a quick recap of what we have understood so far until the 10th verse, right? 10 verses we have discussed in 4th chapter. The 4th chapter is titled, am I audible, everybody? Okay, fine. So 4th chapter is titled Transcendental Knowledge. So this chapter is basically the revelation of knowledge which Krishna is making with regard to the topic which was discussed in the last part of the 3rd chapter with regard to the lust. The aspect of lust covering our consciousness, our real knowledge, right? So lust basically, Prabhupada explains it as desire to lord over and desire for sense gratification. Right? This is called lust. So how to overcome this lust? Krishna also gave a hint in 3rd chapter that by having a proper intelligence directed toward knowing about our real self, understanding our relationship with the super self, and also being situated in that knowledge always in our mind, we can transcend this lust. That was the recommendation given. So directly Krishna begins this chapter by making us understand the glories of this transcendental knowledge. In fact, the whole Bhagavad Gita is transcendental knowledge. So Krishna is trying to make us understand, rather give us the wonderful glories of this transcendental knowledge. And it begins with the history of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Sun God many millions of years ago. Sun God spoke to his son Manu. Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. In this way, this knowledge about the science of relationship with the Supreme, which is very essential in human society to bring us out of the ignorance of lust, was being transmitted in the human society from generation to generation. It's called parampara. And Krishna detected that this parampara was lost at one point of time. And he selected Arjuna to become the recipient of this knowledge, this yoga. Yoga means, Prabhupada explains, the science of a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a science, not some speculation or some imagination. No. So this knowledge was again given to Arjuna, or rather he was chosen to be given because Arjuna's qualification was he was a devotee and he was a dear friend. So when Krishna spoke this much, Arjuna had a specific question of trying to clarify that how can I believe that you have spoken to Sun God many millions of years ago? Right? Because both of them seem to be contemporaries of same age. So Arjuna's this question was basically to clarify to everybody, all of us, that Krishna is not an ordinary person, and Krishna cannot be considered as a ordinary human being with all the human tendencies. No, he is Supreme Personality of God, for which Krishna very nicely, wonderfully answers in the next series of verses, giving the understanding that the difference between God and ordinary living entity. Right? God can remember everything. Living entity cannot remember anything, even of his, even of this present life. We cannot remember even yesterday what happened at this time. That is our situation. Forgetfulness is one of the aspects of the living entity. Being forgetful of our life, previous lives. That's how our life is, because of our tiny situation. Right? Whereas Krishna is Supreme Lord, even though he comes in whatever form, in whatever incarnation, he remembers everything of his past appearances. That is Krishna's specific nature. And Krishna comes with his own self-same spiritual body. Sambhavami Atma Maya. Whereas in our case, we are bound by the laws of karma. And we are in that way subjected to take different higher and lower grades of life among the 84 lakh species of life. That is our situation. Whereas Krishna comes down by his own sweet will as incarnation, or he himself comes in one day of Brahma every day. And like this, there are very many wonderful aspects of Krishna's appearance. And he specifically comes for 3 reasons, Krishna explains. One is to deliver his devotees, and second is to vanquish the demons, and thirdly, to re-establish the principles of religion. And this is what the whole Vedic scriptures describe as pastimes of Krishna. Right? The whole Bhagavatam description is about various incarnations is when he comes, how he protects devotees, when he comes, how he kills the demons or liberates them, and thirdly, how he establishes the principles of dharma. Dharma we understood as those principles which are meant for us as living entities to be followed, which is given by Krishna himself. And these principles are meant for us to regulate our lives, to return back to our original spiritual situation. Right? We are supposed to be anything other than those. The principles, they are called irrelevant. And Krishna comes to soul, as that I am supposed to be doing, explains in all the whole Bhagavatam is various descriptions. And said this much, gave a very wonderful story. One who understands Krishna's birth, activities, teachings, truth, tattva, then that living entity will be no more birth and death. This will be his last birth, return to spirit. The conclusion with Krishna. And to achieve this of spiritual world, our situation is that of material contact. Right? We are polluted consciousness we have. So how to purify this consciousness? And I explained, I have to come to Madbhavam Gataha. Madbhava means the situation of transfer love to Krishna. Right now, situation is what? Attached to so many material things around us. So we have to give up attachment to many aspects with body, family, society, and so raga, and for sense gratification. And when you are frustrated with so many around you because you're not getting and because many other situations, you're also going through fearfulness, death. Or in fact, Prabhupada explained that because personality is giving a lot of, you think after are liberated will not conceptions wrong. personalism, and material thought is making many such says the attachment to the material, right? This is called material concept of attachment and says anger. We have to become free. Our emotions are material world, where material concept. So how to come out of this of life? Means that when you can take shelter of bona fides under follow that discipline and regulative step by step conditioning. It's like of this madness means you have to go to a psychiatrist, and psychiatrist will prescribe a method with medicine and treatment. So you have to take that treatment. That was the recommendation. Now Krishna will continue our discussion from verse 11. I hope everybody is having your copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. The 11th verse, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. Okay. Mama manu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. Very nice verse, very important verse also. Krishna is telling, to the level of your surrender, or as you surrender, I reward you accordingly. Right? I will reciprocate based on your level of surrender. So Krishna also adds a statement, everyone follows my path in all respects. Basically, we have to understand this whole existence is created by Lord Krishna, and all of us are his part and parcels. Very nice example Prabhupada gives in one context. He says, just like you love somebody from the material point of view. Why? Because that person is a living person. You don't love a dead body or dead matter, right? Because there should be exchange of feelings. And if you carefully analyze the person whom you love, actually, that person is living because he has a spirit soul within him, right? Spirit soul is making that person be active and interact with all of us and all these things. If you go further into the details of this, what is the spirit soul? According to Bhagavad Gita, spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna, which means that spirit soul is connected to Krishna. In one sense, we are all, one sense, loving Krishna only. This wonderful aspect was very much demonstrated in a pastime of Brahma Vimohana Leela. Right? We see, I think most of you will know this pastime, when Brahma was feeling very puffed up, and he was thinking, what is this small boy, Krishna, very talkative boy, who is very much enchanting all the people of Vrindavan. He wanted to go and see, actually, who is this boy. It's again a Leela. Brahma coming under illusion. It's called Vimohana, Brahma Vimohana, right? So he came and stole away few calves and cowherd boys when they all went for grazing there in the forest. And Krishna came searching and they were not there. And Krishna immediately, what did he do? He expanded himself into as many cowherd boys, as many calves, in the same features as they were when they were present. And because Brahma's time is that, for him it may be 1 minute to come back, but that 1 minute is too big for us. We'll read about this Brahma's time later on in 8th chapter. So, but Krishna had to go back to return to this, to back to home, because all the parents are waiting. So he expanded himself as cowherd boys and calves in the same manner as they were earlier, in the same shape and form. So the mothers and the cows were feeling additional love for their kids and calves. Why? Because right now it is Krishna himself was expanded. Krishna himself, that feeling they could, actually their affection for Krishna was enhanced. That's what it is mentioned. Also, Krishna gave an opportunity for all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the cows and the mothers to actually show their affection to Krishna. That was one more pastime. So like this, basically, there's a nice statement in the 9th chapter. Later on, we'll see. Pitahamasya jagata mata dhata pitamaha. He says, I am the father, Pita, I am Mata, I am Dhata. Father, mother, support, and the grandfather also. Pitamaha. Like this. So everything is Krishna. Very nicely Prabhupada explains. Just like we have relationship with other living entities as father, mother, grandfather, etc., etc. But actually all of them are whom? They are all part and parcel of Krishna only. So these various entities who are appearing as our relatives, father, mother, etc., are nothing but Krishna only. Right? So like this, we have to get into the philosophical understanding of what is going on in our life. Right? That's what Krishna is trying to tell. That is one aspect. And other aspects of spiritual disciplines, which everybody is trying to reach some destination, some goal. Right? Bhagavatam describes the ultimate absolute truth is perceived in various ways by different transcendentalists according to their level of realization. The statement in Bhagavatam, it says, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Krishna can be realized as the effulgent light or Brahma Jyoti, impersonal Brahman, or all-pervading Paramatma, super soul, present in everybody's heart, in every atom, or as the personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. An example of sunshine, sun globe, and sun god is given. Right? So just like if you see from here, you see only sunlight sitting in a room. Looks like, this light is very impersonal, no personality. But the sunlight is having a source. That is sun globe, localized. That is compared to Paramatma. Right? And in the sun planet, there is sun god. Right? Who is actually a person. So ultimately, Krishna is person. And there are different transcendentalists. Krishna is going to explain to us in 6th chapter one process called Ashtanga Yoga, wherein the yogis will focus on the Paramatma in the heart. The process recommends meditation on Paramatma with different step-by-step, various rules, regulations, which one has to follow. So their ultimate goal is to realize Paramatma. And there are transcendentalists who realize absolute truth as formless. Right? So in one sense, if you see, all these transcendentalists are trying to realize the same absolute truth in its different features. Right? So, whereas Krishna later on says, in one more context, that like this, the Gyanis, the Yogis are all endeavoring for many, many millions of lives. And finally, when they understand that me, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna as everything, they will surrender to me, Krishna says. Just see. So like this, the various transcendentalists, whatever they may be endeavoring to achieve, but they are trying to go to Krishna only, but in various ways. As Prabhupada explains here, everyone are finally trying to achieve Krishna only in different degrees. Different paths they're trying to go step by step, provided the path is authentic. And the process is authentic, not that you have imagined something or concocted something. No, the path should be the standard authentic process. Right? So the based on your degree or based on your path you have adopted, it is called by different names. Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, or Karma Yoga, like this, different names are given. But ultimately, when you come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, that is where when you have the proper understanding that Lord Krishna, ultimate source of everything, he is, from his existence only, everything is emanating. Nice example Prabhupada gives. Just like we have 1 crore rupees, in that 1 lakh is also there, 1,000 also is there, 1 rupee also is there. Everything is there, right? Any other denomination is a subset of that 1 crore. Likewise, Krishna is that personality, is that supreme. Am I audible? Sorry for the interruption. Hare Krishna.
Now audible.
Am I audible?
Yes. Audible.
Just giving the example of, what example? Of 1 crore rupees, right? Everything is there in that. Likewise, Krishna is that personality from whom everything is emanating. And even though everything is emanating, he remains always full. This is what Upanishads give us an understanding. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. He is perfect and complete. Even though many perfect, complete units emanate from him, he always remains perfect, complete, always. That is Krishna's personality, Krishna's existence. Right? So, Prabhupada very nicely explains in the purport that in the spiritual world also, whatever way you want to relate, Krishna reciprocates. Actually, this verse is a very important verse in one sense, because just like, Hanumanji can relate with Krishna only, as Lord Ramchandra. No other form he wants to worship. He wants to have that relationship with Lord Ramchandra only. Right? One more example Prabhupada gives. During the Dasa Leela, what happened? Gopis were feeling, oh, Krishna is with me, dancing. Very nice, wonderful. Little proud they became. Krishna immediately disappeared. Right? And they were searching here, there, looking for Krishna everywhere. Krishna is not there, dead of night, and in the forest they are roaming. Suddenly Krishna appeared with his 4 hands, Narayana form. Right? Krishna was thinking, what these gopis will do, let me see. Gopis saw, oh, Narayana. Om Namo Bhagavate Narayana Vasudeva. So they were just worshipping like that and went away, which means that relationship with Krishna, which gopis had, they could not relate in the same way with Narayana. We'll see in the 11th chapter again. When Krishna was requested by Arjuna to show universal form. Krishna showed. Arjuna became very fearful. My Krishna can become like this. Then Krishna returned. He told Krishna, return back to your original form. Krishna first came, by returning back, he first showed his Chaturpuja Rupa, for which Arjuna was not having that same intimate relation. Again, Krishna came back to his Shamasundara Rupa. Then that relationship was, again, he was able to relate with Krishna in that way. So basically what I want to tell you is, every living entity can relate with Krishna in a specific way. That is the point. There is no, and also one more very wonderful thing Prabhupada reveals. I was just recently hearing one lecture Prabhupada gave in Australia on Bhagavatam. And one devotee asks Prabhupada, in the spiritual world, the different flowers, trees, animals, peacock, all these things, how they get their forms, their shapes. And like this, in the material world, we have different species of life. Prabhupada says, in spiritual world, every living entity, in whatever way it desires, that body is provided. Just like today, I want to serve Krishna like a peacock. Peacock body is given to you, or peacock body is manifested. Next, you want to serve Krishna as a flower, you get a flower body. So dynamically, it's so wonderful, no? Every day, different ways you can serve Krishna. So enlivening. Whereas in our case, right now, we are stuck with one body. One body, whatever you got, you cannot change. Unless, you have to change only after you finish this body. In spiritual world, it is very dynamic. That's why it is very enlivening and Nava rasa, it is called. They are experiencing different rasas. This is the reason why, one more reason, why devotees, based on their inclination and their desire, Krishna also appears in different incarnations, various incarnations. Some very special incarnations like Hamsa Avatara. Krishna came as a swan incarnation, right? Then the Hayagriva incarnation came as a horse, right? Like this, there are specific incarnations which specifically Krishna has come, just like Krishna came as Varaha. It's Krishna only. But he had to come and take that form. Why? Because he had to lift the earth from the bottommost part of this universe. Right? Like this, the incarnations based on various functions, various aspects, and also devotees' desire. I want to see Krishna in this way, this form. We have one more instance in Bhagavatam. Gajendra, who was actually King Indradyumna in his previous life. Right? Somehow, due to some offense, he had got the body of an elephant. And when he was in great danger, he prayed. He started remembering the prayers he had made in his previous life. He started praying to Krishna in his Narayana form, Ashtabhuja Narayana form. Krishna came in that form. Really, we understand Narayana as Chaturbhuja, but he came in Ashtabhuja Narayana form. Right? So like this, Krishna can take many forms, any form, unlimited forms. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Based on devotees' various inclinations, Krishna can take any form. Right? After all, it is all his manifestations only. And it is meant for devotee and Krishna's very intimate exchange of relationship, rasa. And one more understanding of this verse is that when you surrender to Krishna 100%, Krishna also reciprocates proportionately. If your surrender is to some extent, that extent Krishna reciprocates. That's why from the material world onwards, there is a gradation in the spiritual world also. First, we have Vaikuntha Loka. Different varieties of Vaikuntha Lokas are there. And then you get, then you get Dwaraka Dhama, then Mathura Dhama, then Goloka. Goloka means it is a super complete, perfect as Krishna's form. Krishna is displaying full in his all the transcendental attributes. In Mathura and Dwarka is somewhat reserved. And Vaikuntha, it is said, it's even more veneration. It's not like, Prabhupada gives example of a judge, Supreme Court judge. In court, how it will be? Full, dignified and all. Everybody is, yes, sir, oh my dear Lord. Everybody is having a different type of relation with him. Whereas the same Supreme Court judge in his house, he'll become a horse for his grandson. Right? It's like that. Krishna in his completely, sweet transcendental rasas, is exchanging with his devotees in Vrindavan. Right? So that is what it also means. So based on your, at least from the spiritual point of view, the different spiritual elevation you have, spiritual understanding, maturity you have, to that level, you will be elevated that way. And as I told you last time, one example of Lakshmi, I told you, Lakshmi also is doing tapasya in Vrindavan to enter into the pastimes of Krishna and Goloka. Let's see. That way. So basically, it's all a very wonderful transcendental dynamics. But entering into spiritual world itself is a big thing for us. From there, further, as you want to move forward, as you want to surrender more and more Krishna, that much reciprocation will come. And Gopis' level of surrender is what? Krishna says, you Gopis have surrendered everything to me. I have nothing to return. which means this verse okay. Now let's go to the next verse. Now, verse number 12. Kangshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. Now, Krishna starts explaining to us with regard to how living entities in the material world doing so many activities, right? They are engaged, they are engrossed in so many activities. Krishna explained now, as you surrender, reciprocate. And there are living entities who are surrendering to different devatas. About devatas, Krishna has already mentioned in the 3rd chapter, right? So, Krishna explained that they are all different managers in the universal affairs, different universal management of various wonderful activities going on in the material world is managed by these powerful entities known as devatas. So there are people who want quick results for their activities. So worship devatas, Krishna says. And because of which they also get their results very quickly. So what does Krishna want to say by this? Basically, he's telling whatever you do, that activity result you will get. If you want to worship Devata, you will get results quickly. Later on, Krishna explains in the 7th chapter. The results from Devata is what? They're all temporary and limited. Because Devata themselves are living entities in the material world. And the results what they give is again sanctioned from Krishna only. Krishna explains the whole process. Now just some hint is given in this particular verse. So this verse basically Krishna is trying to explain that how the living entities in the material world, they are mostly inclined towards sense gratification. Right? Whereas in the verse number 10, what did Krishna say? You have to become purified from all sense gratificatory tendencies. Then only you can come to the level of mad bhavam or transcendental love for Krishna. Whereas generally living entities are inclined towards sense gratification. Because sense gratification is so prominent, their senses are completely bewildered. Krishna explains later on that the one who surrenders to devatas are basically lost their good sense. Sutta jnana prapadyante anya devata. Krishna explains. When people kamais tese sutta jnana. When too many desires for sense gratification, lust, basically. You are too lusty. Lusty means desire for sense gratification, lording over. I want, big position. I want beautiful wife. I want a lot of wealth. I want power over other people. All these things I want to lord over this way, that way. All these tendencies is what people are always running after. See, in the material world, if you analyze carefully, what are we running after? We're running after power, running after money, running after opposite sex, running after name, fame. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summarizes all these things very nicely in Shikshashtaka. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, na kavitam. Dhana means wealth. Jana means followers. Oh, everybody is appreciating me. A big man, very intelligent person, capable person. People and a lot of followers I have. In Facebook, I have 1 lakh. In Twitter, I have 2 lakh. And there's a big status, and that some social media, I have 1 crore. Wow. What does it mean? You're so busy always. Don't have time for yourself. Okay. So like this, na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. Sundari means opposite sex. For a man, a woman is a sundari. For a woman, a man is a sundari. That's what it is. You have to understand this concept very nicely. When scriptures say, it's woman basically means prakriti. We are assuming ourselves to be Purusha, but we are not Purusha. We are always Prakriti. Prakriti means enjoyed. Purusha means enjoyer. So we are not enjoyer. We are taking to take the position of enjoyer. That is the problem. So Dhana, Jana, Sundari, Kavita. Kavita means lot of appreciation, a lot of glorification we want. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I don't want any of these things. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamayeti. Kama means lust. Intense desire to enjoy all these things, intense desire to possess all these things. Now, we have read in the 14th chapter, Krishna explains the quality of a person in the mode of passion. What does Krishna say? When passion has increased, what will happen to him? I'll just take out that verse. What does Krishna say? He says in verse number 12, 14th chapter, Lobha pravritti arambha karmanam ashamaspruha rajasyetani jayante vivruddhe bharatashabha. Says, Lobha pravritti arambha. There is increase in the mode of passion, symptoms of great attachment, right? And uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develop. Right? That is what is the mode of passion. So all is dhana, jana, sundari, kavita is all modes of passion and ignorance. Right? So intense attachment to get, great attachment to get things, I want that, I want this, uncontrollable desire, hankering, intense endeavor, hard work to do so many things. That is what is going on. This is how the whole material world is conducted. Right? Everybody is running after these things. Whereas spiritual life is completely opposite. Krishna explains in this chapter and later on we'll see. Whatever comes of its own accord, I'm happy with that. My time should be devoted for Krishna's service. That is our real situation. Actually, as much as we practice to be in line with the way Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita, to lead our life in that way, that much we are preparing ourselves to enter into spiritual world, Vaikuntha life. Basically, Krishna is telling us, lead a life of Vaikuntha, or mold your life in a Vaikuntha way, because that is what is going to qualify you when you leave this body. Otherwise, you are always hankering with great attachment, intense endeavor to achieve things. Then what happens? Those desires will continue in your subtle mind, subtle consciousness, subtle body. And it will carry you to one more body, life after life, more bodies, because more desires, more bodies. Right? So our whole Krishna conscious understanding is, make your material desire zero. Anyavilashita shunyam. Rupa Goswami says, definition of bhakti. Any other desire other than serving Krishna should become nil. Anya avilashita shunyam gyan karma dhanavritam. I want to know this, I want to understand this, I want to discover this, I want to become more knowledgeable about material things. Jnana. Karmadi. Karma means work like this, enjoy like this, get more results. This is jnana karma dhanavritam. Right? From this jnana karma develops a lot of desires for going on in the material world. That is what is going on life after life for us. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Rupa Goswami says, only those activities which can help me for pleasing Krishna, satisfying Krishna and his pure devotees, that is called Uttama Bhakti. Just see the difference. So here Krishna is just giving us a hint that people are rarely interested in bhakti, devotional service. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment. So based on whatever inclination they have, Krishna reciprocates. That's what Krishna is telling us here. So Krishna is very merciful. Through this verse, Krishna also indicating Krishna respects your independence. Minute independence he has given to you. Right? He's not interfering with the minute independence he has given us. He facilitates everything. right? He loves us and is waiting, life after life, millions of lives. Krishna explains later on in 13th chapter, he's sitting as Paramatma, super soul, and is waiting when you will turn towards him and start, understanding your real situation. He is more anxious for our deliverance than we ourselves. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita later on. So Krishna is waiting. He is not forcing you. On your own, voluntarily, you come back to your normal situation, then Krishna will be very happy. So any endeavor any effort we are putting to come back to our normal situation of being in our constitutional situation of being Krishna conscious, Krishna is very happy. He reciprocates. Let's see, when you have started chanting Hare Krishna means Krishna is happy. He reciprocates. So this verse also gives us an indication with regard to how last two verses, this 11th and 12th verse, that Krishna is reciprocating for every action we do for progressing Krishna consciousness. He is very happy and he facilitates also. It's not that we are only doing chanting and we are reading Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is saying, what Krishna is doing, nothing like that. Anything you have done, little endeavor, what did you understand? Second chapter, Svalpamapi yasya dharmasya, Svalpa dharma, little endeavor in this direction, Krishna notices, Krishna recognizes. This confidence you should have, this faith you should have. Right? So, if your endeavor is only to again and again enjoy materially, then Krishna also will not interfere with your way of working. He'll facilitate. But he's sitting as Paramatma to always give you guidance. But you are not ready to take guidance, what he can do? You can only wait and watch. Let's see. You'll try to give facilities, try to give association of devotees, but you don't want to take. That is what is happening right now with us. So the various different types of people around us, what we are seeing with different levels of faiths in different things, what they're doing, it's all because of living entities' desires. Kangshantaha, that's the word used by Krishna here. Desiring. You desire karma, karmanam siddhi. You desire to enjoy in the material world, Krishna will give facility. You desire Krishna, Krishna will give facility how to come to him. That's the point. So what you desire, the whole platform of desire is what we have to, purify. Right now it is impure desire of trying to enjoy in the material world. But to come to the platform of desiring only for Krishna. Right? That's the indication we get from this verse number 12. Let's go to the next verse number 13. Again, one more important verse. In fact, fourth chapter is a very good chapter where Krishna is revealing many, many wonderful truths, principles in a very nice way, simple way. Basically, he's revealing how things are around us, what is going on around us, where are you situated. It's all important to understand. Otherwise, we'll always be in a, it's mysterious for us. What is going on around us? Krishna says, Chatur varnyam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So Krishna is telling according to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, guna karma. There are 4 divisions of human society. Chatur varnyam. Okay. And these divisions were created by me, Krishna says. Maya Shrishtam. I only created this. And even though I am the creator of these 4 divisions of society, I am not subjected to the rules of these 4 divisions because I am transcendental to them, Krishna says. So it is an introduction to what is known as Varnashrama system. The Vedic society is divided into 4 social divisions and 4 spiritual divisions. The 4 social divisions are the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And the 4 spiritual divisions are Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. Okay. So these divisions of four social society known as varnas, they are not caste, to understand. Caste means by birth. You are born by this father of this particular, sort of a following. So I belong to this caste. It is not a caste. This is a very scientific division. As Prabhupada says, this division of human society, which was created by Krishna, is to elevate man from the animal status for a systematic development of Krishna consciousness. Very wonderful statement Prabhupada is making. Because right now, as even as human beings, our propensity to enjoy in the material world is at par with animals. Like animals want to enjoy eating, sleeping, mating, defending, same way we want to enjoy also. Right? So when we're supposed to understand the reason or the purpose for human life and follow the rules, regulations of human life, that's where the system of Varnashrama comes. In a conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and one great devotee by name Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai was a very intimate devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in one of the meetings, initial very beginning meetings with Ramananda Rai was that time governor of Madras in the 15th century, that time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on a South Indian tour. He met him. So the very first question Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai was, what is the purpose of human life? Sadhya, sadhana, and what is that human beings are supposed to be doing? The very first, this question of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Rai responded, human beings are supposed to be following what is known as Varnashrama system. Varnashrama system means all of us as humans have some natures or gunas based on our previous karmas. It's called guna karma. Okay. So natures means somebody is, inclined to do business, more inclined to do business, even though he is born of a father who is administrator. Right? Or somebody who is born of a father who is actually intellectual, from the Vedic perspective, called Brahmana, but he is inclined to do say administrative work. Right? So the society was divided based on the inclination of the individuals for different types of works. With their previous karma they have been carrying, they'll be inclined to do some things. Not that everybody has to go through an education system and you have to become doctor, you have to become engineer. Not like that. That is not the way. The modern day system has become like that. That is not the way the Vedic system was. In fact, the Prabhupada says in one context, the children were all sent to Gurukul. They were all trained to some level with some basic education. After that, Guru used to see the inclination of a specific child and accordingly used to tell that child that you can follow this, you can follow that. Your nature is like a Brahmana, you become a Brahmana. We have example of Rishabdev. Rishabdev had 100 sons. King Rishabdev was incarnation of Lord Krishna. He had 100 sons. Out of them, 9 became yogis, Brahmanas, right? And most of them remained as Kshatriyas, right? And like that, divisions are there. The same father, the children are doing differently. Basically, what I want to tell you is that the division of society in the Vedic system was based on the inclination or the natures they have developed. Prabhupada explains in the, in second chapter, psychophysical aspects, second or third chapter, I believe, right? Psychophysical aspects of the living entity. Based on that, different divisions are there. So like this, these divisions are all created by Krishna and is natural in any society. Even in the modern day setup of, say, a factory or industry, there is a management class who are all, thinking and trying to, concepts. They're trying to see that how to run this whole setup, all these things. And there are people below the management called administrators, right? And below the administrators, there are people who are like mercantile people, business people, who do marketing and other things. And next level is laborers, right? So in any established society, human, human civilization, we can see these four divisions. Right? That's what Krishna is trying to tell us. And one important aspect Krishna is telling us here is that he is not subjected to these rules, regulations. He is above these rules, regulations. He is transcendental to them. That's what Krishna is trying to tell us, because he is created the system for us to elevate ourselves gradually to the spiritual level, spiritual understanding, right? And he is always transcendental, just like we understood in the 6th verse. He comes in his own self-same spiritual personality. He is not subject to these material rules, regulations, right? So he has created this varnashrama because we have forgotten Krishna, and we have to gradually elevate ourselves to the spiritual platform. So following this varnashrama is what going to make us qualify to come to this platform of spiritual understanding gradually. If we don't follow, then we remain in the animal platform. Prabhupada says in present day context, people are not following any varnashrama, because of which everything is topsy-turvy, and people are becoming less than animals. So Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is the only hope. Somehow if people can follow what Krishna consciousness is offering in terms of chanting Hare Krishna and following some regulatory principles, this is going to substitute the varnashrama system otherwise, which was in the Vedic civilization. Because Prabhupada has very carefully given all the various aspects of varnashrama in the Krishna consciousness way of life. Right? Very nicely Prabhupada explains this in the 3rd chapter. In one of the verses purports, Prabhupada explains, even those who cannot follow the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will replace all the performances of different yajnas and karmas as per Vedic regulations. Just see. Prabhupada says this. So, Prabhupada's way of establishing the Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON, is basically to give an opportunity for one and all to follow this varnashrama system. Just follow what Prabhupada has given, everything is there. Perfect in all the ways. Otherwise, without following varnashrama, you're not even a human being according to Bhagavad Gita standard, Bhagavad Gita's viewpoint, Krishna's viewpoint. Right? And Krishna consciousness is such a wonderful way of lifestyle, wherein not only you are in line with Vedic way of life, you even transcend that and you become what is known as Vaishnava. That's what the Vedic scriptures want us to come to. Krishna recommends this in 2nd chapter. If you see, there's a nice statement Krishna says to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. To transcend even these 3 gunas and the Vedic injunctions and become situated in transcendence, Krishna says. Spiritual status you come to, Krishna explains to Arjuna. So basically, the Vedic injunctions and the Vedic way of life is to gradually refine you, reform you from the animal status to human status. And human status, you gradually elevate yourself to transcendental status by following all the rules, regulations of devotional service. That's the point. So, Krishna is trying to give us understanding here. The first thing is, as you surrender, I reciprocate. And there are people, just like we saw in the verse number 12, people who are completely absorbed in material enjoyment. Yes, I reciprocate accordingly by giving them facilities. There are different devatas, different types of worship, which we'll discuss more in the later chapters. There's a chapter on this different types of worship in 17th chapter. Then Krishna also explains, if you want to actually advance nicely, gradually, you adopt what is known as varnashrama system, wherein step by step, you elevate yourself to the spiritual status. Or Krishna, in fact, Prabhupada also explains, if you take a Krishna consciousness process, it is a lift process, elevator process. Either go step by step or take a lift. So, step-by-step process is very risky in the present-day context, in one sense. Whereas lift process is easy. Just you follow whatever Prabhupada has told us in in Krishna consciousness movement. That is going to perfect your life. That's what Prabhupada is trying to indirectly hint in this purport. A person in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to divisions of human society, just like Krishna is transcendental. Right? So in that way, Prabhupada has given us such a beautiful way of life for us that we, without any qualification, we just adopt these principles, we become fully qualified and transcend all the levels. There was always a sort of a, when in Vrindavan especially, when Prabhupada used to bring the Westerners, there was sort of a, the Goswamis here and the many other Orthodox Brahmins, they were all having their own biased way of seeing at devotees. Oh, they're all Europeans, Americans, they're all Mlechas, Yavanas. Mlecha, Yavana means who are meat eaters, who are against Vedic principles. Right? They're all Mlecha, Yavanas. How they can be made to worship deity, like that they were all making different allegations and different complaints. Prabhupada says, see, whatever their birth may be, whatever their nature may be, but they started adopting Krishna conscious principles as given by Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Right? So because of which they have transcended all the Varnashrama principles and also all the other regular orthodox traditions which you think is important, and they have come to a level of a Vaishnava. Actually, a Vaishnava is above Brahmana. Which means Brahmana is a subset of a Vaishnava. That's what it means. Because Brahmana means what? Prabhupada, Krishna explains later on. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, their qualities Krishna explains in 18th chapter later on. Right? But a Vaishnava means he has all the qualities of a Brahmana as well, a further higher quality of worshipping Krishna. A Brahmana may be just busy in his rituals and some karma kandya activities like that. But a Vaishnava is directly worshipping Krishna. It's transcended everything. That's the point. That's what Prabhupada is again and again pointing out in his various purports, that these various traditional way of understanding things is all taken care in Krishna conscious movement. There's nothing that Prabhupada has left. Okay. So I think we are already late today because I started late little. Sorry for that inconvenience. I will conclude here. If anybody has anything to discuss, ask anything, any comments, I can take a few questions. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was just wanting to point out about Srila Prabhupada's clear statements about demigod worship. The futility of worshipping demigods. He has very clearly explained. And still we find in today's world so many people doing demigod worship around us. So,
yes. Yeah. So what is the question?
Yeah. So the Krishna conscious understanding is far higher.
But Sushila-ji, worshipping demigods is better than not worshipping anything. Okay, see, Krishna condemns demigod worship, but it doesn't reject. Why? Because it's like, you're doing nothing, at least do something. Worship of devatas at least will come to the level, just like in Bhagavatam, very nicely it is mentioned. In the second canto, it is mentioned. There, Narada is asking Brahma, my dear father, you are so great, you created this whole universe. And all living entities are created by you. But I see you are also doing meditation on somebody else. If you are all powerful, whom are you meditating on? That is when some questions he asks. Then Brahma reveals, my dear son Narada, I am not the supreme, Krishna is supreme. I'm meditating on him to receive the powers for creation. He only orders me what to do, like this. So basically, for living entities who are under various different levels of modes of nature, engrossed under different modes of nature, for them even to understand about transcendence, I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, and I have to start becoming more serious in spiritual life itself is a big achievement, so to say. Okay. And mostly people are conducted by what is known as atheism. No controller, nobody to, I'm not, nobody to, even nobody is seeing anything what I'm doing. I'm independent. I'm free. I can do anything and everything. That's the mood everybody is going on right now in the material world, right? Irresponsible life, right? When at least a living entity comes to the level of worshipping devatas, at least he recognizes some authority. So Prabhupada says, even the most degraded people like aborigines, they also consider some big mountain or big cloud or a big tree as oh, he's supreme. They go and worship. That sense of accepting some authority is there inbuilt in our consciousness, but that is being misused. What Prabhupada is explaining in that verse of 12th verse. Politicians, they want some power, ministership. They just go and try to glorify a minister. Oh, you give me this position, that position. They think, oh, you're so great. So this sense of having some authority and following some authority is always there in us, right? So from that point of view, doing something is better than doing nothing. It's like Prabhupada says, blind uncle is better than no uncle, right? So yes, of course, Krishna consciousness is very great, very high, very ultimate. But taking up Krishna consciousness also requires great fortune. That's the point. So, in one sense, as devotees, we should always feel compassionate. We should never feel that, oh, I am very great, or feel very proud. Oh, I'm too big. I know everything. This sense is not proper as a practitioner, as a devotee. Always we should see others with compassion, right? Otherwise, what happens? We become too puffed up or too proud with regard to, I know better than others. Hey, what do you know? Right? The point is, we have to understand that every living entity is going through different phases of his own previous baggages of karma, right? So the recommendations are there, but the living entity's free will also is there in every aspect. See, in whatever stage one is in, just like Prabhupada's spiritual potency was so unlimited that he could, just by his presence, he could even transform the most degraded atheists also at the level of Vaishnavas. Right? That is the special powers which pure devotees have. Out of compassion, they can do all those things. But in our case, we should see, okay, somebody is worshipping devatas, fine, at least he's doing something. Then somebody who is not even doing anything. That much first analysis we should have. From that much first level of understanding we should have. Next, we should always see how we can help them, in case you can influence them with regard to your way of talking to them or bringing them to Krishna's service. And it is very much, see, all of us as Hindus born in India, we are all following different things when we are all in our families, right? Definitely our parents, our relatives, our various other friend circles, they're all doing their own different worships. And basically moving forward, how to impress upon them. Recently I was hearing a very nice understanding from one of our senior devotees. He was mentioning they, from their temple, they always go to do book distribution during Ganesha Puja. Right? Ganesha Puja has become very big nowadays. Everywhere they have big pandals and all these things. So Krishna devotee is going to Ganesha Puja. How is it? What is relation? So somehow they got a permission to put a nice stall very next to that big Ganesha Murti. Okay. And the stall they got Bhagavad Gita. So how do you convince Ganesha devotees to take Bhagavad Gita? Right. So the devotee was telling me how we do. So he says, you know, what is this book? It's Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. And Mahabharata was written by whom? Lord Ganesha. Right? Ganesha himself wrote this. And Ganesha was writing so fast. Vyasadeva was dictating only. He was so fast writing. Such a wonderful book. You should write. You should know what Ganesha has written. Take this book. Just see. There is no, somehow we should bridge the gap. There's a connection. Right? We should not see Devatas as independent entities. They are all connected to Krishna. One more example he was giving, very nice example. Durga Puja. We go to Durga Puja and want to distribute some books or some prasadam. Okay. So there devotees of Durga have come. What do you preach them? Tell them Durga, you know, Durga is sister of Krishna. Right. Very clearly Bhagavatam explains. Durga is sister of Krishna. Krishna's sister. And Krishna and Krishna's sister are having such good relationship. So you should also understand when Krishna's sister herself wants worships Krishna. So you also worship Krishna. So like this, a gap should be bridged rather than keeping them, okay, go away. We don't want to see you, don't want to interact with you. No. Somehow that sense of compassion with regard to how I can help, how I can be part, also make him part of our understanding should be the mood. Yes, definitely. Their level of understanding is to some level now. Let us help them. That's the point. That's the way. And that way, when you start thinking in this way, Krishna also will help you. How to devise new and newer plans. That way. That's the point. So definitely, the Krishna is not telling that you should not worship demigods. He is condemning. He is telling us what is the better way, what is best. Right? But he is totally not rejecting also. Otherwise, why Bhagavatam is explaining all these various things? That is what we are seeing in the material world around us. People are doing so many things. Right? So we have to understand also what is going on. When you worship Devatas means you are having, your whole desire is for sense enjoyment. Material enjoyment is, you're driven by those tendency to enjoy this material world. That's the point. Right? I hope I have given you some understanding on what your point
Yes,
is.
Prabhuji. Very nicely explained. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion point or question? Shall we close now?
I need some help here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, see, my family, they believe in Shiva. Kashmiri families, they were the devotees of Shiva and Shivism. So recently we launched the square feet seva.
Okay.
So I told my son to do this seva.
Okay.
I have this problem. He said, we are believers of Shiva. Why should we do the seva for building Krishna temple? Why don't you do seva for building a temple in Kashmir? He caught me like that. Please help me how to.
So Shiva is a nice devotee of
Shiva was also a devotee of Krishna. But,
always, not
yeah,
was, he's always the devotee of Krishna. He's always meditating on Krishna.
But it is
Anyway,
ingrained
we
in
don't
his
want
mind that Shiva is supreme.
the great devotee Vaishnava to start reading from Bhagavatam 4th canto. So many pastimes of Shiva is there in 7th canto, 10th canto also.
That's okay, but for a common person, how should we convince them that? So I understand, but everyone has not read Bhagavatam and all that. I need a help to convince
overnight,
my family.
Overnight, nobody can be convinced.
Yeah.
Okay. So to give an example to you, even I was born in a family where all my parents and relatives are worshippers of Lord Shiva. Okay.
Yes.
So they are also surprised how I became inclined towards Krishna. So it's not that, that overnight will happen. It will happen gradually. You pray to Krishna, that Krishna can give them. He's sitting as Paramatma in their hearts, right? After all, even they worship Shiva also. Bhagavatam says they'll all be transferred to, if they seriously, strictly worship Shiva, they'll be transferred to Kailasa. In Kailasa, Shiva will train them how to go to Vaikuntha.
Okay.
So we should tell them why this, it's like, stopover from India to Greece, Greece to America. We don't have a direct flight. We'll ask, no. So we should tell them direct flight is there, just like Chandrayana. Chandrayana, what has happened? You go to Chandraloka, find out what is going on there and everything. We are telling, why you go to Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, go to Krishnaloka directly. Right?
Okay.
All these Chandraloka, Indraloka are places of repeated miseries only. Right? So Shiva also, what he's doing is, actually Shiva is very merciful. He is taking all those entities who don't even have material bodies. They are all in Bhuta, Preta, Pishacha. They are all ghost bodies. Right? He is known as Bhutanatha.
Yes.
He is deliver them, and he's, those entities whom we don't even want to associate, he is trying to elevate them. That is Lord Shiva's special compassion. Right? And what he does in Kailasa, he's training all of them how to become nice devotees of Krishna. What Bhagavatam says. See, like this. See, basically, it's slowly, if you can make them impress upon them. Not one is telling stories. One more is you also ask them questions. What Shiva is meditating upon, whom is meditating upon. Right? Krishna is always meditating upon Krishna. Right? He's chanting Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours. Right?
Prabhuji,
Huh?
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
Bhagwan Krishna always holds a flute in his hand.
Yes.
And this flute, what I learned, I don't know how far it is true or not. This flute is nothing but Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva wanted to enjoy the Leelas of Bhagwan Krishna.
Okay.
So, this flute was gifted to Bhagwan Krishna by Shiva. You hold it so that I can also watch your Leelas.
Okay.
So,
where it is mentioned?
So, pardon?
Which scripture it is mentioned? Any reference?
Well, I can't give you any reference, but this is a fact. It is
maybe
stated.
Because I also mentioned to you in my session now. In spiritual world, any living entity can become anything. He can become flute one day. He can become flower one day, depending on desire, whatever service, seva. And every living entity there is a person. Like even flute is a person.
Very true.
So in scriptures, it is mentioned very nicely that flute, there are different types of flutes. Right? One flute is called Vamshi, one is called Sammohini. There are 5-6 varieties of flute. Small, big, so many varieties. So different entities. Krishna is one time he plays a small flute. One time he plays a very big flute. It all, Krishna has varieties of life. And with regard to specific question of Sunita ji on Lord Shiva, Sunita ji, you see, in every Dhama, Kshetra, there is a Kshetrapala. Okay. And Kshetrapala is Shiva only. In any Puri you go, Mayapur you go, Vrindavan you go, Dwaraka you go, anywhere it is Lord Shiva. Right? And Shiva is closely associated with Krishna and Lord Rama. Right? So, in that way, there is a very intimate relationship with this. We have to understand they are not independent entities. They are all connected only. In fact, the Brahma Samhita very clearly says, Shiva is nothing but a transformation of Krishna only. Like milk and curds. Milk. Milk becomes curds,
Shiva is
yogurt.
expansion of Krishna. Expansion of Krishna.
Yes, expansion of Krishna only. I'm giving the example Brahmaji gives. He says, Kshiram yata dadi vikara vishesha yoga. Kshira means milk. Dadi means curds. Milk transformed the curds. Milk has its properties. When it becomes curd has a different property. Curd can never become milk again, right? That way, so this Shiva's Shiva Tattva is like that. Vishnu Tattva, Shiva Tattva. And also one more wonderful information I'll give you. Just like if Krishna has 100% qualities, if all qualities as taken as 100%, Shiva, rather Vishnu, Narayana has 95%. Okay. And Shiva next has around 87%. And we living entities have 78% if you become perfect like Brahma. So there are gradations wherein Krishna, there are, even Shiva is one of the avatars, Guna Avatara. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. They're all Guna Avatars. Right? Tamoguna is controlling. So Shiva's position is very exalted. Unless we understand his position properly, we cannot go to Krishna. In fact, we devotees always pray to Lord Shiva to give us blessing to get devotion to Krishna. Because Shiva is such a wonderful devotee.
Prabhu, that because of being devotee of Shiva, I have come to Krishna consciousness.
Yes,
I strongly have this faith that Lord Shiva has only put me into Krishna consciousness.
That's what Shiva is doing now. Shiva is always trying to put all devotees in the path of Krishna consciousness. What is Prabhupada doing? Like that, Shiva also going everywhere and trying to preach Krishna consciousness. Making everybody do.
Just to expand my vision so that I can put my things across with the family and all who are not.
Basically, see, when you come to Krishna consciousness now, properly, the way Prabhupada explains us, you will not have any sort of a discrimination or a biased way of seeing the various other followings. Because if you see, Prabhupada, when he went to Western countries, he's preaching to Christian priests, fathers. He was never condemning them. He's saying, Jesus Christ is our Guru. Because he's Son of God.
Yes, Krishna. Yes. Christ is Son of Krishna.
Christ basically in Greek basically means Christos, anointed. Christos is the transformed form of Sanskrit Krishna. So Jesus Christ, right? Jesus said, my Father Christ is in heavens. Just see. So Prabhupada saw every other, religious systems is all having connection with the Vedic system. There's no disconnection. Likewise, every devata, whomever you see, and Shiva is Mahadeva, means is the most important of all devatas, Mahadevata, right? So everybody has their own respective roles and positions, or the respective responsibility in seeing the whole manifestation of this whole universe. Nobody is, is unimportant. We have to respect them that way properly. That's what Krishna consciousness we understand. We don't disrespect anybody. We have utmost respect to Lord Shiva. Yes. And Shiva is not there, we cannot move forward in devotion at all. And in fact, Advaita Charya, we say, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita. Advaita is also considered to be incarnation of Sadashiva. Sadashiva is one Shiva form in spiritual world. Like this, there are so many references. So we are not, restricting ourselves with regard to, we're not like a horse with, two in the front of the only Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna means all inclusive. Right? Krishna means everybody is, we have to see that every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. And due to his own reasons, they are under some influence and following something, disrespect them. Right? And also understanding the position of Shiva, Shiva Tattva, Durga, Ganesha, everybody is glorified nicely in Bhagavatam. Right? Just like Ganesha with his tusk, he is holding the two lotus feet of Lord Narasimha and is praying. Right? That, please give me strength to conduct this whole universe properly. Just see. So like this, we have to understand from scriptures the actual situation of what these devatas are, what they are doing, what is their exalted position. Then only we can appreciate. So you take some time, slowly impress upon them. You also pray to Krishna. And this is a challenge for all of us. Gradually that will happen. Overnight nothing will happen. That much we can take assurance, right? But see, once you come to the proper understanding, no, everything will be clear for you. Oh, it's like darkness, nothing is seen. When you come to sunlight, oh, so nice, so clear. Everything is very nice. Everything fits in proper place. There is no factionism or no sentimentalism and fighting. Oh, I am Shiva Bhakta, I am Vishnu Bhakta, I am Krishna Bhakta. No fighting, right? There should be, harmony, understanding. Everything is Krishna's only. It's different manifestations, basically.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Let's close now. It's already quite late. We'll meet again next week. Thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.